Hello and welcome back everyone to another YouTube video. Today I'll be recapping my final round game in the Dewain Barber National Tournament of Middle School Champions. Now going into this game I was at 2 out of 5. I lost 3 games in a row, and in the final round I am playing a 1783 rated player. Now I was already kind of tilted, kind of dejected that I lost 3 games in a row, especially since I was starting off hot with like 2 out of 2. The only time I played a lower rated player was in the first round, and every other player was a higher rated player, and I scored 1 out of 4 against them, which is not that great because I have beaten these players a lot before, so I had more expectations on myself. But I'm happy we get a lower rated player because I need some time to recover and recoup, potentially for like another tournament, or like I just wanted to get this tournament over with basically. So I played the sloth defense, and after all this, he plays G3. Now I have encountered this move, but only after the semi sloth, when my bishops closed out, and then G3. And in the 2 games I played bishop to D6. I might actually feature this game in another video. You'll see why. And the other game I played G takes C4. But he played G3 and move early, and I take that opportunity to just like launch my bishop forward, and I just get all my pieces developed. I play bishop to D6 to I like to control this E5 score because I can see sometimes he might get his knight on E5, although probably not now. Now he develops his knight, and I control that E5 square, and okay, now hold up. Now he plays bishop to F4, which apparently is a mistake because yeah, and it is because his pawn structure is now like I have a free C pawn. I actually just completely missed that like I could take on F4. The reason why I didn't do that is because I thought like he could get E5 square very easily. Like after takes, I wasn't even considering take on C4. I thought like, oh, I have to castle, he'll get 95, maybe king h1, rook g1. It'll be a little bit scary for me, but I can just take, and I'm up free pawn. And it's not that I can just move my knight and like push my pawn up to kick the knight on there. So I go queen to c7 to try and pressure the bishop, but after queen c1, I start thinking for a while. Apparently it's also a mistake because of the same reason, because like what the computer wants me to do is the computer wants me to trade off everything and take on c4. And even this, maybe I'm not so sure, because maybe this pawn can easily be won, and even if not, this bishop looks kind of scary. This Catalan bishop looks kind of scary, but maybe I can put a knight on there. I can push my pawns. Maybe I'll just reroute my pieces, play c5. So the computer wants me to do that, and here I'm thinking like, okay, I feel like he wants me to go c5. That way I'm forced to trade. And if I go queen b8, c5, I push my bishop. Like I don't really like that. Like he can get a knight on e5 maybe then, or actually probably not now. Maybe queen e3, knight e5. Maybe he'll kick my bishop back to g4. I don't really like that. But if I go d takes e4, which is what I did, he has e4. And then I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do. I'm going to take on f3, and if bishop to f3, I'm going to push my pawn on e5. Now, if takes, I can take with the bishop or the knight. I'll probably take with the bishop. I'll castle my king. Now I can get b5 because the bishop's blocked, and my position should be fine. Now, after this, I don't blame him for what he does. He plays e5. I actually probably would have played the same e5 because I was I'm pretty sure he told me after the game he was afraid that like after all these trades my knight would get into d3, or maybe actually I could take on e5, my knight would get into d3. He was scared of that, so that's why he played e5. But after e5, the reason why it's considered a mistake is because after all this position, I'm up a pawn right now. And this pawn is actually a weakness. Sometimes, you know, maybe in the endgame, sometimes it'll be considered a strength. Right now, it's a weakness because there's plenty of pieces on the board. My knight is easily blocking the pawn, and I could reroute all my pieces to just at that one pawn, and it can't defend itself properly. And I'm just up a pawn. That's why the position's good for me now. He lets me get another free pawn, I think, to get his rook in the game, and now he goes knight to e4 to open up this. Now after takes, I play knight f6 and knight to d5. Now I could have apparently taken on b2. I was a little scared of this because I'm like, okay, I don't want this. Like I could go knight to b6, but I don't want my knight here. I want my knight over there. Now, maybe this will be a little bit more scary. So I do all this, knight f6 and knight to d5, to just block the rook out. I'm just blocking the rook now from its axis, and I'm just ready to pile my rooks on that. And it's what I do. He goes b4, kind of like some sort of minority thing. Like he'll try and like go through there, and after rook d7, he plays b5. Now after b5, I start thinking. I'm like, okay, I can take on b5. If rook b5, knight f4, he'll take, and I'll go queen d6. Now after it takes, I'm like, okay, takes, queen b5, knight f4, g takes, queen d6, he'll have rook to d1. And if I'll be forced to trade, and he'll go on b7, and he'll take on a7, I don't like that. Now I'm like, okay, maybe I go c5, or maybe I go rook d8 and just allow him to take. And then I find like a good like sequence. I take, I just trade queens, and I push my pawn to b6. And he has no play. He has no play here. Because his rook can't, if his rook tries to get in, I'll just play rook to d8, I'll look for my king, and I'll eventually just take the bishop. Now, credit to him, he actually finds probably the best move. He goes rook takes d5, this is the best move, I guess, to create drawing chances, because now he'll win my pawn, and maybe this pawn will stop my two rooks. I go f6 here to bring my king up, and also threaten a sneaky little g5, but he plays g4 like instantly. And the rest of the game is kind of like relatively simple, but not really. He does find some like good moves. He defends nicely like this, but I end up creating a passed pawn like this. After king d3, I bring my thing back. I just like, I also notice he's low on time. He has like 30. He's playing like with these moves like 3 seconds or like a second left, and he gets like an extra 30 seconds, and then he starts to think. So which is why like these errors happen, because now he comes back. He has to, now after this, f2's under attack, he's forced to go back, and I just take, I create a second pass, like I blockade my king, and then I create a second pass pawn. Time comes and he has to trade his rooks. Now all this happens, I then get the ability to trade off like this. He can't take, because this is winning. I'm up 2 pawns. Like, I'll slowly, like, I'll use opposition. I'll just create and push the pawn. I'll win this pawn, and I'll just push my pawns down the board, easily winning. Now, after all this, like, he blockades. I win another pawn in this position. Oh, in this position, he resigns the game, because I would literally just be promoting. And that's all my Barber recap. So I finished the tournament 3 out of 6. I gained 7 rating points, so now I'm at 2,037. Now, like about a week later or a few days later, I played another tournament. It's like a local tournament around this area I'm at, and I gained 10 rating points. So now I'm currently at 2,047. My next tournament will be actually tomorrow. My next tournament is tomorrow. It's another local tournament. I won't be recapping these local tournaments, because they can get pretty boring and the time controls are a little bit faster. I'll only be recapping if it's like an important event I'm at, like where I'm like traveling and doing that type of thing. Anyway, that's all for today. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, you can hit that like and subscribe button if you want. And yeah, goodbye everyone.